like mainly what Arteta is doing, trying to get everybody on song. I don't really like how he goes over the top in some cases, but he's trying to get the fans on side. We always hear what he's doing at London Coley. All the players, I know they're not going to say anything wrong, but they always talk about you're a good tactician. So I do like that. But then this is where I think there's no balance, because as much as I admire Arteta for that, it does feel at Arsenal that our standards are on the floor. You shouldn't necessarily be praised for doing the basics and especially righting your own wrongs, which Arteta has done in a sense. And that's really what scares me. And what scares me more, to agree with your point, sometimes you might see an inexperienced manager, an experienced technical director, or vice versa. Very rarely do you see both. So again, I don't know how good Edu's contact book is, or how he's rated in the game, or how, his relationships with other agents and whatnot. Like sometimes offers are just that someone might text a manager and say this player is available. I don't know if he's got any of that, because everything I read coming out of his homeland, they weren't really too impressive with what he's done at Corinthians and in the Brazil lineup. And again, it's not that as much as I want Brazilian exciting players, I haven't really seen you do anything. I know it's difficult, work permits, but you can't even claim Martinelli because it wasn't you, really. So it's like, I don't know what you're doing. And what scares me is there's elements of Arteta's job that we don't know, but there's many things he doesn't know. The same goes for Edu. So where is that experience? And when you do see experienced players and people brought in, it's not like they're in real positions of influence. I know you've got Richard Garlick and things like that, but he's just really a contract man or whatever. He's not, he can't veto things. Like even if we look at the midfield this season, a more experienced technical director might sit there and say, Arteta, I know you might love Xhaka and Partey, but we need to do this, or this is going to happen. You need a striker, or might be able to even help him out with these other targets. A more experienced manager, the same. That's what kind of scares me. And it's almost like I look at things where we're almost not helping ourselves. When you look at Lokonga's case, for example, bro, in the sense of every time they speak about Lokonga, both of them, they say things like he's playing more than we thought, he's doing this. Now, okay, if you have an asset and you want him to develop and you think he's playing more, why have you not got someone else that can either, whether it's another young player, they can divide their minutes, or a more experienced player to hold Lokonga's hand? Because Lokonga can't hold his own hand. How can you expect him to hold young Charlie Patterno's hand? So we're setting our young players up to fail, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, ultimately, I don't want it to be a complete bashing of them and going on about their inexperience, because, as I said, in summer, they did do well. The people that they've recruited, generally, I'm happy with the vast majority of them.
Facts.
So, I mean, if we go through them, Ramsdale, White, Tomiyasu, there's Lokonga, Tavares, and...
There's one more, isn't it? Was it 5? Is there one more?
I thought there was 6.
Lokonga, Tavares, Ramsdale, Ben White. No, it might be that. It might be 5, 6. Well, they can't be that good if we can't remember them. To be fair,
Odegaard.
Oh, yeah, I take that back, Odegaard. But to be fair, he was part of the furniture already, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is why I didn't feel like it was brand new. And now, out of all of them, I'd say, I haven't written any of them off. And some of them, I kind of feel like you're flipping brilliant. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, great. Odegaard, Ben White, definitely valuable members of the first team. So, look, they have done well. And that's why I don't want to get on their case. I really want to be optimistic that they will continue to do that. You spoke about writing your own wrongs. They're kind of like 6-7 days away from wronging their own rights in a way. And that's what I'm desperate for them not to do.
But that's the thing. What scares me is, like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say I know more about football than them. Neither are you. We're just honest football fans. But it's almost like, if me as a fan have had these concerns about midfield, and we could see this coming with the injuries, we said we're something away from Partey and this going down. If we can see it, surely you lot can see it. Now, if you can see it and there's variables like, for instance, you're trying, but, Stans isn't giving you money, fair play. But it's like, what scares me, can you lot not see this, or are you choosing not to see it? It's like, I look at our midfield. They said Xhaka and Partey was going to be the majority game partnership. Respectfully, can we really say that's something? Even when we was doing all right, we was always saying they could have done better. So it's almost like you don't know what you're doing. Are you confident on signings at all between now and the end of the window?
I am, yeah. And the reason is that I'm no sort of like expert when it comes to the psychological side of things, but from what Mikel Arteta has been saying in press conferences, I feel as though I would be surprised if he was that upfront only to then sign nobody. He specifically, explicitly says, we are working, and, says that we're trying to get something done. And if you say that and then don't do anything, you're basically saying, me, Edu, Vinay, we've failed. And I don't think you'd set yourself up for that. And I don't think you'd set your colleagues up for that. I don't think that'd be very appreciated. They obviously talk about how they're going to field these questions. Now, you go back to Arsene Wenger. He used to be very, very clever. And he used to say, we will do something if there's top quality. You know, which is very subjective.
Saying a lot but saying nothing, yeah.
Yeah, you're saying a lot but saying nothing, yeah. So it was that protection that he gave himself and everyone around him. Arteta hasn't done that. Now, I don't think that we're infinitely smarter than Mikel Arteta, where we can say, oh, he's being naive. You know, if we can see that that's naive, he can see that that's naive. So I don't think that we're smarter than him and he can't see what we can. Right. I think he's saying that because he expects to get something done. And I think we will get something done. Because also, we know now, we were in for Vlahovic. We know we've got money, given that we were willing and offering to structure that deal. However it was, whether it was installments, whatever it was, we can do that elsewhere. Fair. So I think we haven't given ourselves a lot of wiggle room in the Vlahovic bid knowledge and in what Arteta has been saying. So yes, we'll get something done.
I'm hopeful again, you know, whether it's someone on loan that's half injured is another thing. I'm hopeful because based on what you're saying and what I'm saying is that you lot know you must know you need players. I don't have any sympathy. Like my patience for signings was here because again, I've been very vocal on midfield. I do think they're not silly enough. They will bring people in. Whether they're the quality is another thing. The one thing I don't have sympathy for, and I find it quite jarring about Mikel Arteta when he talks about how complicated the market is and things. Now, I know a bit of it is PR and stuff, but to me as a fan, it's the same language I heard a year ago, with you. And it's almost like, okay, you're right. You're not wrong. But it's like, you knew the job. It's like, you know, this ain't City. You knew certain things. So it's like, you need to adapt really. There's no point. And to be in this situation after your first full season, I think we're being ignorant in terms of ignorance is bliss. And we're just choosing to make mistakes. And even back to loaning players out, you look at a couple of our rivals, you know, United are bloated. They've only just now let Martial go. They're not trying to let Lingard and Van der Beek go without a fight. City have a bag of them. Liverpool have like Nico Williams, Origi, guys that want to leave. They're saying no. So it's almost like surely there is something planned for us, really. And that's what scares me. I do have a couple of questions from our fans for you, man, just to wrap this up and things. So I think let me get them up. First question is from Maverick. He said it's a twofold question for you. Have we improved or have the usual top four suspects been poor this season, allowing us in a top four race? And he said, now we are in a race for the top four. Did Arsenal actually prepare for a top four race this season? Good question, Maverick, man.
Good question. The first one in terms of have we actually improved? Yeah, we have improved, but I don't think we've improved that much to get from 8th to 4th. Yeah. I think it's a case of like we've improved, I'd say from about 8th to probably about 5th or 6th. And by virtue of Man United with the squad that they've got. I mean, it's mad. Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho, all signed. No one expected them to be as awful as they are. Let's not get it twisted here. United should be challenging for the title. Simple as. With their squad, they should be challenging for the title. I kind of jokingly tweeted Anthony Martial saying, I'm really happy that you managed to get out, like he's escaped prison or something, because that's the vibe at United right now. People want to go.
Everyone's got some sort of stain against their name sort of thing or some sort
of... Van der Beek wants to go to Crystal Palace. You know, it's just... You would never have thought that when he signed. United is a toxic place right now. Don't get me wrong. And that is what we're seeing here. You know, so I think it is a bit of both, but I don't think Arsenal expected. So I don't think we prepared to be in that top four race because we didn't expect to be there. I don't think we could foresee just how bad it's been. And clearly when Eddie did his interview earlier on in the season, he gave no benchmark. He didn't say top 10, top 8, top 6, top 4.
Very smart.
Yeah, I think that's because he obviously knows that he can't say top 8 because that's completely unambitious.
Because we got receipts.
Pardon?
Because he knows we'll come with receipts. That's why I think he said that stuff, man.
Yeah, and then if he says top 4, then as you say, we're going to hold him to that. Top 6 is nothing either. So I don't think he had any confidence that we'll be in the running. He didn't even say, well, you know, we want to compete for top 4. He said nothing along those lines. So I don't think Arsenal were ready or prepared.
To answer that, to cut my question to that, then, you know, if taking it at face value, if he didn't specifically say what we're trying to do, then what do we judge Arteta on?
Exactly. And that's what annoyed me.
I can't answer that.
You don't have the luxury, an institution of the magnitude of Arsenal Football Club, to have zero pressure. You cannot do that. At any organization, you have to say, right, this is our target. But the reality is they would have done that internally. They just don't do that.